author of Despite of. And he is doing an excellent job explaining like his upbringing in Philly, what he had to deal with like in his home life, how he overcame it, and it's really an compelling story. So it sounds like you didn't take any of your father's behavior personally. Now you don't.
Now I don't. Yeah, when I was younger, it was like I thought I thought he hated me, and I was just like, I just thought he hated me because I was like, how can you, it was like times where we, I'm sorry, it was times where, like I said, it wasn't all bad, we taught me how to fight, man. He took me to my first concert back when I was young to see Biggie Smalls, and we did a lot, but it just seemed like more of his thing was when he couldn't get the drug, and he was a functional addict. And see, I grew up watching. I didn't grow up, around bums. My mom went to work every day. My grandma went to work every day. And either my father on drugs went to work every day. He went and got his fix before, but he went to work every single day. He actually worked 2 jobs, So we didn't grow up. Me and my siblings seen people getting up every morning going to work. So that's where I get my work ethic from. I'm a worker, no matter what. But it's just I felt like when he couldn't get his drugs, and my mom said that he would give her money, like I guess every week. And by the time the weekend was out, he would almost take all the money back because, Pam, let me get $20 of that money I gave you. Let me get another $20, Saturday, and by the time the Sunday come, he didn't, all the money he gave her, for whatever bills or whatever, he didn't took back, and it was like, he just wasn't a bad guy, man, but that heroin is something, and it just had him, man. I even walked in on one day, I didn't actually see him do it, but I walked in the bathroom after him, and it was like a smell that I never smelled before, and it's like I never forgot that smell. And I think what it was like weed mixed with cocaine or something like that, and that smell just was like, I'm like, man, it's like I think, well, I already knew I didn't want to, partake in drugs, but dealing with my father, after that, I was like, man, I'm not messing with nothing, I'm good. Like, the most I might ever do is maybe some weed or something like that, but I'm cool. Like, this wasn't for me, pills, none of that type of stuff, it just wasn't for me.
When you think, like, you mentioned that he had died like 2 years ago.
Right.
Had he stopped doing drugs way before that?
Yeah. I was proud of him, he had stopped doing drugs for a while. Probably was over 10 years. He had stopped doing drugs. He was going to a program down not too far from the zoo in Philadelphia, down Parkside. He was on the smallest doses of methadone you can have. And I know that methadone is still a drug, but he wasn't on heroin anymore. And I asked him one day, I was like, do you ever think you can get off completely? He was like, he really didn't know, but he never went back to heroin again. He went to the program every day. We would talk every morning. Like I said, he was on the way to the program. He would go, he would get his methadone, and they actually gave him his whole 2 week to take home, because he was good. He never failed his drug test. So he was doing good, and like I said, we went to the basketball games. We just did a lot. Before he passed, I took him to the baseball game. Surprise birthday parties I did, even though the way I grew up and everything, I had to let it go, because doing a documentary, and then speaking to him kind of freed me, because if I didn't forgive him, I'd be walking around with that for life, man, and I just didn't want that on me. It's like, that's too much to carry, and as I got older, like I said, when I was young, I had one perspective. Like I said, when I wrote this book, when you read the book, you'll see how I felt, growing up and everything. But now that I'm grown, I still feel like a lot of the stuff, I dealt with was like crazy. And I know a lot of people have been through a lot of things, but, everybody kind of been through some stuff, but I've been through some stuff, man, and it definitely wasn't cool. But as I'm older now, I kind of understand.
Yeah.
So that's what I can say about it. But I definitely do sometimes, like, speaking about it or thinking about it, I get upset, I get mad, right in my hallway, I have, come up the steps, I have his picture and my grandma's picture, so every day, I talk to him, my grandma every day, I see him every day, so, I guess I miss him a lot, man, because we talked a lot, and gave me a lot of good advice. And one thing he never did, he never complained, even when he was dealing with, cancer all through his whole body, he never really complained, that's one thing he didn't do, he didn't complain, so it's kind of hard for me to complain, and even my grandma didn't complain. My grandma had open heart surgery, maybe like a year or something before she passed, and maybe that's where I get my strength from. But she didn't even take any pain meds. I'm like, how do you get open heart surgery and don't take pain meds? I don't know how she did it, but she didn't want them.
She had a strong constitution.
Yeah. So that's the, the woman, you know, that helped raise me up, you know, called my mom. She didn't want to be called Nana, you know. She's like, I'm not old, you know, because my mom is, when you see my mom, you might think that's my sister. It's times when me and my mom go out, they think that's like my wife or something, you know, because she looks so young. My mom is beautiful, you know. She looks young. My mom is only like 60-some years old. She's only 17 years older than me, you know. And so people thought my grandma was my mom, because most of my, you know, growing up in the projects, I was like really the only one that had a father for real. And even what I was going through, I was kind of like idolized for having a father, but people didn't know what the backstory. So they like, oh man, you got a dad, you know, this and that. But they didn't know I was in the house getting, you know, getting beat up, and you know, like I said, and you know. But one thing I can say though, through all that, he helped me with my homework. He did it kind of crazy. If I got something wrong, I might get punched in the face, you know. But it worked. It wasn't right, but it worked. You know, because I was messing up in school, going to school every day, messing up, you know, girl crazy, and just wanting to do. School was never for me, I'm not gonna lie. School was never for me. I always had like a entrepreneur spirit, like just sitting in class, listening to a teacher talk to me. That wasn't, I need hands-on, I was about getting money. That stuff it didn't really do anything for me.
And there's so many different directions like
Right.
somebody can go. I'm not
Right.
putting, I mean, clearly I work at a
Right.
community college,
Right.
right? But like, I think trade schools are great.
Right.
I think experience in the field is great. Like if you are an apprentice to somebody, I mean, it doesn't have to be like the end all be
Right.
all. Like if you can't get to college, then it's over.
I think more than now, like back in the day, it was like more the stigma. You get out of high school, you go to college, but now it's like there's so many different avenues you can do now. You don't have to, you know, you don't have to have that, because so many people right now, you know, they went to college, but they're not even working in the field they went to college for, and then they have this debt on their head, you know, and credit score might be great, but you can't even get a house because you got so much debt on your head, you know. It's just like,
Tell me about
that debt is real, you know. I mean, all of us, you know, this world is crazy. We get raises, you know, Amazon, you know, we get raises, but it's like you don't even see it because everything is so expensive, man. It's like medical go up, you know, the food, just everything is just, it's rough out here. So I try to tell my kids, you know, you gotta really, I tell my son, you know, he works, you know, great. I have great kids, you know, but I tell both of them, you gotta you need something, you know, you need to have multiple sources of income. You can't just depend on this job. You gotta have money coming in from different places.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous.
Got to.
So when you had those hard conversations with your dad,
Right.
and I know like it sounded like everything was like lifted off, but like what was his response? Like did he realize it at that moment, like, wow, I really did like a number on Wayne?
I think like being honest, you know, I think he wanted to. I think he wanted that relationship also because he told me that when he first came home, he was getting like some food stamps, you know, to help him out. And I was like, Pop, man, you got all your mail coming to this house and all that, man. You know, I'm struggling a little bit, man. You know, cause I get a couple hours of food stamps, you know, just to put some couple of little food in the house. And he said that he told me he didn't feel like he should have had to give me anything, but he said he did it because he didn't want to like lose that connection again. So he said, you know what, I just give him that $30-$40, you know, out of the food stamps just so I can keep that and build that, you know, that connection again. And that's what we did, you know, we just built the connection, you know, and as I got older, it was more like when I was younger. I'm not gonna lie, when I was 16, I think that's when I finally stood up to him, you know, when I was younger, you know, I thought I was ready one day, but he punched me in my chest so hard, I thought like, he knocked all the wind out of me. I said, I'm not ready yet, you know, but as I got older, I said, no, you know, because he had kind of put his hands on my mind before, you know, and that was it. I said, no, and he's seen that, I guess, to him, that might have been I got him ready now, you know, because I'm standing up to him. Before I was scared of him. I was always scared of my dad, but at that time at 16, it was like, no, now I'm a man, you know, I'm not scared no more. I got bigger, you know, I'm working out, I'm playing sports, you know, I wasn't scared no more, so he couldn't really pump me around no more, you know.
Right.
So from there, like I said, but to answer your question, I just felt like that he wanted that, you know, and he listened, you know, and he definitely apologized. He apologized to me and told me that, you know, if he didn't think that I would have to defend myself and kind of be like he was, you know, fight and all that, he probably wouldn't have did a lot of stuff he did. But he did apologize, and by him showing that, you know, that he really, really, you know, was sincere what he was saying, and we were able to move on, you know. And like I said, it was times we still butt heads, you know, because that's my father. I look just like him, you know. Everybody, my mom, every time I'm with my mom, she just be staring at me like, oh, you look just like your father. Like, I mean, all the time, you know. She just be staring at me like, you know. It's like the older you get, the more you look just like him. But it's like, I'm like, I wasn't his junior, but I'm just like him, man, you know, in some ways, you know, some ways. But yeah. He definitely wanted that though. He wanted to build that relationship up, you know, and that's what I wanted to do too. I wish he was there for the wedding and everything, but I was happy with where we were going at and how we were building.
Did he ever apologize to your mom too?
I think he did. You know, I know him and my mom had a good relationship, you know, whatever, you know. And I asked her one day, and my dad I asked her one day. I think my mom had gave him an ultimatum one time, and I think that he kind of regretted that. The answer he gave, my mom kind of said choose, you know, us or the heroin. And my dad was the type that he didn't like nobody like tell him nothing or, you know, trying to control him. So he basically just went with the, you know, you're not gonna put me on, I'm gonna choose the drugs, you know, whatever. So my mom, she finally got the, you know, because she was scared of him too. And then she loved him too. That was like her first real love, you know, like she loved him so, but she finally, and as I was young, I couldn't really understand. I'm like, how is she dealing, you know, like I said, from a young child, like how she still with this guy and he's doing this to the family and doing this to her son, and she's at work, you know, and she's trying to provide for the, you know, for us, but I'm home left with him, you know. And I was like, I just felt some type of way, you know, about my mom and my dad growing up, you know. I felt like my grandma was the one that was like the savior, you know, whatever. But as I got older, you know, and really thought about it, it's like my mom was, you know, she was scared. She was dealing with what she was dealing with, you know. It was like, so I just kind of look at stuff different from when I was younger to now. But like I said, this book is what I was thinking as during that time and coming up, you know, into as we are right now.
Like in the book, you mentioned having, I think it's 7 other siblings.
Yeah. It was like, me plus, it was like 8 of us all together, yeah.
So did he have, like, try to build relationships with your siblings?
It's crazy.
too?
It's crazy because I have an older sister named Michelle. You know, their relationship, you know, growing up, you know, was crazy. She said she didn't even know that was her dad until she really got, you know, older. You know, really older. And she been hearing the rumors and she asked, you know, whatever. And I have another sister named Tamika. You know, she's the second oldest. She said she only seen him a few times. You know, when she was younger. So it's like, besides like me, my brother Doyle and his 2 siblings. I don't want to say their names because they really don't mess with me like that. You know, they don't deal with us. We don't deal with them like that. But we're the only ones he kind of really live with. You know, everybody else was kind of just, you know, you see it when you see him. You know, and so I always wondered. I was like, what? I was, you know, because I know everything in this world happens for a reason. So I was like, I guess God knew I really needed. I don't know that at that time from 11 to 18. I guess I don't know. I really don't know. You know, because like I said, once that didn't work from his previous marriage, you know, he moved on, you know, and him and my mom, you know, whatever, you know, made it work. And he was with us, you know, from that time. And my brother and stuff would be over the house, you know, he lived with us for a little bit, you know, older brother. But yeah. And it's crazy because all the siblings, we never even took pictures together. Like I only took pictures with a few of them. Like we never was all in the same room at the same time, you know. Both of my brothers are gone now. My older brother, he passed away. He got shot in Philadelphia. Then my younger brother, you know, Dom, he passed away from a heart attack, you know. So us 3 were never even in a room together. We never even took pictures. Like I said, I was with all of them. I know all of them. I know all the siblings. But all my other siblings don't even know. Some of the first time they were meeting Dom was when he passed away. You know, and I just met my last sister, you know, second oldest, Tamika. I just met her. I knew everybody, and my dad kept saying, I want you to meet your sister Tamika. I want you to meet your sister Tamika, you know. And I heard about her, but I never met her. And when my brother Dom passed away, that's when I met her, like, maybe 3-4 years ago. And we've been super tight ever since, you know.
That is, like,
yeah,
awesome.
and it was like I knew her my whole life, you know, so.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah, it's crazy. And she was like, I always wanted a brother, I always wanted some brothers. And, you know, we tight now. We supposed to link up next week, you know. We just, you know, every year we do something for my dad, you know, for his birthday. We get together, we try to get together and do a dinner or something like that, you know. So try to keep, I know my dad would want his, you know, kids to be, you know, tight as they can be.
It's like her prayer was answered. She
Right.
wanted brothers, now she has
Right,
one,
right.
you know?
Yeah, and I just had, like, And it was a great thing to have my mom's side, and then to find out I had other brothers and sisters on my dad's side. That was like at like 12 years old. I found that out. I met my brothers and sisters when I was 12 years old, and I was like, wow, okay, this is a good thing. I got brothers over here, sisters over here, brothers over here, and for a time being, everybody was got along, but things happen. It is what it is. What it is. But we all got the same Nixon blood, so it is what it is.
It feels like almost like a double-edged sword. Like he spent the most time with you,
Right.
so they missed out on not having like somebody that
Right.
like is abusive, but they also miss out on having like a father figure.
Right.
So I'm sure they have like mixed feelings too.
And that's the thing, yeah, because it's like like almost like envious a little bit, like he's over there with him, and so it's just like. And then my dad wasn't, like I said, he was so busy running around doing his own thing, and if he wasn't on drugs, he probably would have been more focused on the family and getting his kids together, because all his sons, he had talent. All my brothers, I know that all of us, we all was good at talent. Basketball. My brother Doyle was good at basketball and baseball. We played baseball, basketball together. My brother Dom was good at basketball. He won a championship at community college. My brother Anwar, he works out. He competition. And just all of us. And my dad played baseball. I played baseball. I played basketball, football, baseball, everything. So he had some talented kids, man.
Yeah.
But I don't think he even set back enough to even
appreciate
it. He just really, that's one thing he missed out on. He was chasing that life, and he kind of he told me, man, there would be times where he just would wake up and his whole day was how was he gonna make some money to get high,
When you look in like family history and stuff, what was his dad like with him?
He only met his dad one time. He told me, he said he met his dad one time when he was about like maybe like 20, 21, 22. And he said his dad kind of looked like him, like at that time, but he said his dad was the same way, a womanizer, just bunch of kids, and it just, even though he only met his dad one time, and that's the thing, he didn't really have, he said his, he called them jitterbugs, like the older guys in the neighborhood, they were like the guys telling him what to do. They're not going to tell him the right thing. He didn't have a father figure to tell him, so he just kind of, and he said what got him into the gang was, I guess we lived there in Philadelphia, 25th and Diamond. He said they would walk to school every day, and they would get beat up every day, and the guys would want to know where they were from. And just being from that neighborhood, they would get beat up a lot. And he said he got tired of getting beat up, and he wasn't from nothing. So he said he went and joined the gang, and he said that's where his downfall came, because once he joined the gang, he loved it so much, he kind of just forgot about school and everything. And I did an interview with him one time. It's called Real OGs of Philadelphia. It's on YouTube. And I can see it in his face. The one question that I asked him that he talked about, and I can see it in his face that he really, really regretted the situation where when he got locked up as a juvenile, he was in jail. It wasn't upstate, but he went in jail, and he was real good in baseball. And he played for the baseball team in jail, and he won championships and everything. And they were willing to bring him back and put him in school. And when the time came, he never went back. He chose gang warren over that, and that was God-given. That was his blessing right there. And I can see it in his face, if you watch that video, that he knew that's where he made the biggest mistake of his life at right there.
I remember like reading about like gangs and stuff, and a lot of times it's like a replacement family.
Right.
Did he ever say like maybe it was loyalty to the gang that he didn't go to?
And it's funny because before he passed away, he said that if he knew what he knew now, he would have chose that over the gang, because most of them guys not even around. Most of them guys don't, they don't come around. He was in the hospital. Nobody really visited him like that, Things when you're younger, you think, like even these young kids, I try to talk to them, you think, you repping the hood, you repping this, and I'm repping my homies and this and that. Them guys don't care about you, man. If you get locked up, they're gonna forget about you. They're gonna probably try to mess with your girl, your wife. They're gonna, they're not gonna see no money, and it's like you gotta worry about yourself, and that's why I never did what I did when I said I wanted to murder my dad, because I just got tired of the abuse, the getting abused, and I just got tired of it. I just had the whole plan. But I said, man, if I do this, I'm gonna mess my whole life up, man. I knew that. And I knew that as a child. Like I said, man, and I've never been locked up, never been in jail, none of that, and I just knew that that wasn't the way, you know. But a lot of kids, man, you know, they might can't think in that time of, you know, anger, and they just go ahead and do something. A lot of kids, man, a lot of guys right now is in jail for not being able to control their temper for 1 second, man.
It's a shame, like, you can't go back, because I know, like, when I was younger, it's like, you know, you think you know everything.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, and it's a shame, like, you can't go back and, you know, like, younger self, come
Right.
on, you know what I mean? Like, don't do this.
Right.
But again, it's like a choice, right? And, you know, clearly it's like you pick the choice that, like, no, I'm not gonna relive this pattern or
Right.
do something that's gonna, like, screw up my life entirely. But, like, okay, so before I ask you the next question, I'm gonna tell you what else is going on.
Okay, no
first.
problem.
Sorry, Wayne. Okay, so just so everybody knows, on November 5th, Student Life and Leadership celebrates Native American Heritage Month. We are going to learn and play the following Native American board games: Palook, Picaria, and Fighting Serpents. So stop by SC 104 anytime between 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. on November 5th to play. And again, it's sponsored by Student Life and Leadership, and it's going to be fun, you know, Student Life and Leadership, we like to have fun over there. All right, so here I am with Wayne Morris, the author of Despite of. So we were talking about, like, how, you know, you can pick to go one way that's negative, one way that's positive. So my question to you, Wayne,
Yes.
do you have, like, any insight as to why some people in negative situations are able to put an end to the cycle, why others repeat it? Like, what do you, I mean, it's probably like a constellation of stuff, but I mean, like, what's the first thing that comes to your head?
I feel like one is that I feel like I was blessed with great mental toughness, man. Mental toughness, because it takes a lot. I always said this: if you take 10 people and put them in my situation, I don't think maybe one or two maybe can come out, because it's hard to. I don't know how I was able to deal with what I was dealing with, still get up, go to school, like kind of live a quote unquote average life, you know, still be like I was always like a popular person, popular guy, you know, school, played basketball in 9th grade. I played basketball every you know, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. I was popular with, you know, the guys, the girls, you know, I was just always part of the in crowd, you know, so, and no one never knew what was going on unless I told them, you know, no one never knew. They couldn't see it. You know, you might can tell sometimes, you know, and something's going on with some such, you know, whatever, but you couldn't really tell, you know. Some of my friends kind of knew, but they didn't really even know. They thought I was just, you know, just getting in trouble, you know. But I think the mental I got, you know, I was able to, like I said, deal with what I'm dealing with. But another thing is too, sports, basketball. All the anger and everything I had going on, when I got on that court, it was all gone. I was like free. So I just, you know, I excelled at it. You know, anything I played, anything I did, I just felt free. I didn't have any, no matter what. I could have just got, you know, beat up for my dad or something or whatever before that game. Once that game starts, it was all going. I'm just out there, just flowing, just playing ball, and I took that anger and just put it into the game. So I would say more the mental, man. I was able to, and I don't know how I was able to do it, but I was just always able to put that to the side and still, you know, live my life, man, and excel in life. Like I said, I always felt like I was different, you know. I think different than just the average. You know, I'm always outside the box. I'm always, you know, and it shows right now. You know, if you look at my social media, you just look at all the things I'm into. You know, all the things I got going on. It's just how I was built, I guess.
I wish more people were like that, because you tapped into, like, your, you know, pain and anger.
Right.
And you took it, like, you know, to so many different, like, positive outlets.
Right.
You know, like the basketball, the writing the book, you know, you said you were a promoter at some point.
Yeah, I was a big promoter
You know
in
what I
Philadelphia. Big promoter. I did the comedy shows in Philadelphia, Park Avenues and Friends comedy events. You know, they all on YouTube, stuff like that. You know, my wife helped me out. You know, we had it popping. She know we had it popping, like, you know, and I came out of nowhere. we had it popping the whole Philadelphia. Everybody wanted to be a part of the show. Everybody, we was the talk of the town. We did that for like 4 or 5 years straight. One out of nowhere. We were up there with, the Laugh House and all that. A lot of guys couldn't make it to the Laugh House, couldn't get in the Laugh House, and I still got guys now to this day like, oh, Parkhead Weeds, the number one hustler, and that's what people just call me, the number one, the hustler. My clothing brand, Certified Hustler. Certified Hustler is this. When you think about Certified Hustler, you think about Wayne. You think about Weeds, Wayne, whatever you call me, Parkhead. It's just who I am, man. It's just I just was able to take all that pain and just turn it into multiple sources of this everything, man.
Yeah, I mean, and really it's energy, right? And it's the, ability to choose and have the foresight, like if I do this, it's gonna be positive, opposed to this. But a lot of people, I feel like, work from ego, and they're more reactive.
Absolutely.
But I think you're a very intelligent guy and you have the charisma. And I think charisma is a very underrated trait to have, because I think so many doors open when you're a charismatic person.
Oh, tell me about it.
And it's being self-assured enough to put yourself out there, because it's scary.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you just went out and here you have friends over here, you got friends over there. I mean, that's amazing in itself. And a shout out to your wife, Shay.
Right. Yeah, that's my rider right there, she always got my back, man.
Your ride or die over there.
Yeah.
Shay is in the studio with us, everybody, just so if you want to stop by and say hi through the window.
Right.
So there's a couple other questions that are going to go into a different, it's about the book and how you got into self-publishing and everything else. But do you have any advice that you would give to others who might be experiencing the same things at home, where they have a parent who, maybe not an optimal parent, whether it be drugs or alcohol? Is there any advice that you could give?
Yeah, I definitely have some advice for them, and this is one of the things I really enjoy, because I would love, to continue, this book tour and just talk to anybody that needs the help, from the youth even to adults, because we all, I'm still, even though I've been, I've done a lot in my life and stuff like that, I still deal with, because I suffered from, and my wife knows, I think because of the way I grew up, and I felt like that my dad would always, pick on me, not pick on me, but just the abuse. I said to myself where I'm not gonna never let nobody get over on me, because I felt like my dad got over on me a lot. I felt like I was scared of him. He would, get over on me, talk to me any type of way, take my money from me, and he would pay me back sometime, but he would take my money, my first income tax check. I remember him, I'm at work at McDonald's, he brings my check to me and makes me take a break and cash my check to give him some money. My very first check, and I feel like I feel like I couldn't say no, because he was going to just take it from me anyway, so I just, so I had this thing where I'm not gonna let nobody play me, so, dealing with, different relationships and with my wife, anytime I would feel like, you trying to get over on me, it's a trigger. You trying to play me, it would go back to, when I was younger, so I'm way better, but I'm still trying to deal with that, because I know, I'm a good guy, I give out good energy, so it's I don't think that's what it is, but just, like I said, the trigger is you trying to play me, you trying to get over on me, but now I'm able to sit back first, think first, and then, react instead of just quick draw and brawl, but yeah, I would say, for the youth, if you're going through something like this, man, I would just try to tell you really find something you really enjoy doing, and really just take that passion and just, really, dive deep into that. I would definitely talk to someone, like myself, or just, a counselor or something like that. I would even try to talk to, if it's your mom, your dad, I would even try to talk to them, let them know how you feel, because I was always able to express myself, and tell my dad how I was feeling, and my mom, just, that matter of fact, so I would just try to tell people just to really, it's hard, because some people, they can't get over that, and so they can't even move forward. There's people right now that's adults that's still, dealing with childhood trauma that can't really move forward because maybe they never got a chance to talk to the person and tell them how they really felt. But the big thing for me was talking to my dad, letting him know how I really felt, even letting him know that I was gonna kill you, bro. That's how I felt. I mean, and I told him that, and he was like, I understand, man, because I remember being young, and my dad wasn't there, but, you know, I remember doing something wrong, and one of my uncles waited till I got out the bathtub, you know, naked, and he beat me with a belt. And I promised I was going, my dad said, I promised I was going to kill him, you know, but he wound up dying. I guess his uncle wound up dying first, so he never, you know, did it. But he said, I understand what you were saying. So everything I explained to him, he took it, you know, it wasn't, he had to, you know, but so I would just say that, you know, just try to really dig deep into something really that really inspires you, man. You know, and just keep your mind right and keep your mind focused, man, and try not to just because it's hard, and you could just go into you could go into a deep spiral, you know, with being depressed. And I you know I was depressed and stuff a lot, and maybe I didn't even know I was depressed, you know, back then. But like I said, just working and playing sports and just you know the girls chasing the girls, it just kind of kept me going. So even I knew this was, it's like I knew this was coming. But all day long, I got all this, and I deal with this later when I get home.
So
and that's how it was every day.
It sounds like you were able to compartmentalize.
Yeah.
It's like I have my life over here, I have this situation over here, but you were able to put all your focus in wherever you were at the moment.
Right.
And that's really mindfulness.
Right. Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. And then I would just deal with whatever comes at the end, you know, and just deal with it.
Yeah, and triggers are hard, right? Because it's a self-preservation
Right.
technique. It's like, you know, when you've gone through trauma, it's like, you know, something triggers you off. It's like you're mentally preparing, oh my gosh, like, you know, this is going to happen again.
Right.
But you got to like step out of your ego and realize that maybe that's not going to happen again.
Right. Absolutely right.
You know, because like when you keep acting and responding in the same way, nothing's going to change.
You get
And
the
you're
same
going to have,
results, yeah.
you're going to have the same problem with 10 different people because you're not picking apart the situation and saying, well, let's see, if I react differently,
Right.
maybe like with love and acceptance and objectivity, things will change.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. Absolutely right. So it's like, yeah, and writing this book, you know, because I talk about it sometimes, but writing this book was a hard deal too. It took me about 6 months to write this book, and I had to kind of relive everything all over again.
Yeah.
So it was tough, you know. I remember being in a room crying and you know, and just dealing with everything. I had to kind of relive stuff, and I'm like, and as I'm older, I'm like, man, like, why? I said, why would my dad do that? And as I'm talking to myself now, like, why would he do that? And it was hard, you know, but it was something I had to go through, and it came, like I said, this book, it's amazing. I'm not just saying it because I wrote it, but it's an amazing read, you know, for somebody going through some things in life, man, because this book just shows from the beginning and show how you can go through a bunch of trials and tribulations. That's why I named it Despite Of, because despite of everything I went through, look at me right now.
I know.
And that's what it is, man, you know, and without God, you know, I wouldn't be here, you know, but this guy, like I said, and this, you know, my mom, you know, me and my mom was super tight, and I'm her oldest child. So I just remember nights, man, you know, remember days I watched my mom struggle, I watched my mom, you know, go through different things. I watched the bills be crazy, because, you know, my dad he was there, but my mom was really the one paying all the bills and everything. He wasn't really, he didn't clean, he didn't cook, he didn't really do anything. So I guess I learned how to be a husband and a father watching the Cosby's and all that, watching TV shows, because I didn't see that growing up. I didn't see, you know, I would see my mom and dad, you know, embrace and hug and kissing like that. You know, he would smack her on the butt, yeah, Wayne, get yourself a girl like this with a big butt, you know, stuff like that. But I didn't see, you know, the actual, like, husband, the way a husband is supposed to be in a marriage, you know, and so for me, I had to learn on my own, you know. Me and my wife been together, something's going on 19 years, you know, almost 17 years married, you know, and it's a wonderful thing, man.
Well, congratulations.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
When you have someone like in their corner,
Right.
I mean, it's just, you know, it makes everything better. You have your go-to person.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Well, going into the more, like, aside from the content of the book, how hard was it to figure out, like, how to self-publish and stuff?
Basically, it was crazy because I got a friend, like a close family friend, you know, Sandra worked at the job. You know, we would bounce ideas off, you know, a lot. And I always was talking about, you know, doing a book, and I just was talking about it a lot. And I would just tell her some things and all that. And she was like, you should do it, you know. And I'm like, I'm going to do it. And I kept always, and then one day I just said, you know what? I'm going to do it. And I was with my wife one day. She was out running some errands, doing some things. And I just pulled up, you know, book writing on Google. And I found some different book companies, made some calls, and picked the best one, and then we just went from there. And I just, and like I said, it took about 6 months. We would talk on the phone maybe once a week for about an hour, and he would just record me, and we would just start. He would have bullet points, and we would just start from the beginning. And I would just talk.
How
And
cool is
we would just talk, and we would do it, and basically we would talk, and they would take the recordings, turn it into like make it into like the way I guess the way a book should be, and I would read everything back, and if it was good, we would move on, and if it wasn't, I would make corrections, and and that's how we did it. We did that for like 6 months, and it was tough, man. I went through like 2 writers. The first writer I had, I don't know what happened with her. I don't know. It was hard to kind of understand her. I think I don't know where she was from, but it was hard to kind of understand her. And then something happened. She got sick, and then they gave me another writer, and then he was great. And this was, it had to be right. So a lot of times I was like, yo, where did they get this from? I didn't say this, you got to change it. So it took a while, but we got it right. We got it right.
So even your book has integrity.
Yeah, we got it right. We got it right. I said, bro, I can't put this book out. You got to be right, man. You got to be right. I had them changing things, and I know they might have been getting mad, but I'm a perfectionist, man. I said, bro, if I'm gonna put this book out, it's about my life. You gotta be right, bro. You can't just put anything out. You gotta be right, and it gotta be it's gotta be right.
Well, it was right, because it's like I loved it.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I thought it was fantastic.
Thank you so much.
And I got to give a shout out to Sandra, because I think she was like a cheerleader in a past life.
Yeah.
Another real positive person, and I think that that's another testament. It's like who you surround yourself with.
Right.
You know what I mean? Surround yourself with people that want to see you succeed, and are in your corner every step of the way.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's like trying to find your tribe.
Yeah, that's the thing, because everybody not for you, man. Everybody not for you. They can act like it. Even family, everybody not for you, man. So I'm more, and I kind of go on vibes, because people, people say anything, but I go on vibes, and if the vibe not right, I'm not dealing with you, man. I'm just like I said, I'll be 50 years old in May, and I'm just all about this good vibes, man. All about good vibes, and if you're not bringing me good vibes, or if I see your vibes is not right, I'm off you. And this is what it is, and it's crazy because, not taking shots at nobody like that, but it's people that were around at this time that was there, never even bought the book yet. I have a lot of people that didn't even know me that bought the book, so it's like, I ain't gonna lie, I got about feelings, I get my feelings sometimes, like, bro, it's not even about the money, it's about the support, because, when you have friends, family that's doing things, you want to support them, so me, if I had, a close homeboy or, some family friends that wrote a book like that, because everybody that's not writing books, when people find out I have a book, they're like, oh man, I should write me a book too, man. My life is crazy. I said, well, write it then, bro. Write it. Do it. Don't say what you should do. Do it, bro. You never know. You do it. And like I said, but I just feel like this was a must. It was a must, and I don't know what made me use my baby picture, but that's what came to me, when I wrote this book. The name Despite Of, and then this baby picture. And I look at this baby picture sometimes and I be like, man, you did okay, buddy.
Yeah.
You did all right. You did all right in life, man,
I loved all the pictures.
You did all right.
Honestly, I don't think I would have recognized you in high school or anything.
A lot of people say
had
that.
like a baby face.
A lot of people say, people say all the time, like, oh my God, you look so different. You look so different, all your pictures, you look so different. My wife, when I first met my wife, I was heavier. She liked that version of me. I like, she liked that version. I liked her more.
More
athletic.
do you need to love?
Yeah, she like that version, but I got the bald head now, but yeah, man, it's been my life it's been like I said, I'm only 50, man. I got another 30, 40 years to go, but the life has been amazing, man. It's been a journey, man. It's been a wild journey, but I'm happy, man, and I'm content, and I'm happy with life. I'm happy where I'm at, man, and I'm looking for more.
Well, I gotta say, congratulations on everything.
Thank you so much. I
Congratulations
appreciate
on your anniversary. Congratulations, you're gonna be 50. You look like you're 35.
Thank you. Everybody, they like, what?
Not fair.
When I tell my daughter, they're like, what? You have a daughter 29? How old are you? I said, I'll be 50. Like 50?
I know. I didn't even know.
No.
I'm like 29.
Yeah,
What's happening
nobody
here?
believes it. Yeah, nobody
Yeah,
believes
I know.
it. It's 25. I just.
Well, I could talk to you all day.
Yeah, me, I love to talk, man. I can talk. I'm sit here all day with you. I love to talk. My wife know it. She might be quiet sometimes. Like, man, I love to talk, man. That's me.
Well, the last question I have before
Yes.
we end the interview is,
Yes.
where do you go from here? Do you have any thoughts about publishing something else? Are you gonna try something new in your life? Or are you just riding this out to see more book tours?
Right now, I'm definitely trying to continue this book tour, because I really feel like that I have something to share with this, the youth and this people. Period. So I definitely want to do this book tour and continue this as long as I can do it. And I'm definitely thinking about writing some more. Because me and my dad, we talked about a lot of different things, man. And I told my dad, I actually told him I was gonna write this book and everything. And I told him that, and I want to make a movie too. That's the next big thing too with this book. I'm trying to reach. It's a director in Philadelphia named what's my man name? Black De Niro. And we never met per se, but I know some people he knows, and I've been trying to reach him for a while. And I'm gonna get to him. I want to get him this book. I want him to read it. I want him to co-direct this movie with me. Because he got stuff, on Prime and stuff like that. He's a talented director. So if you're seeing this, bro, holla at me, man. We gotta get together, man. We need to make this movie. But yeah, I just got, my brain is always going. So like I said, I got the ebook, the certified the ebook, basically the credit ebook online right now. That's doing well. Just it's like 10 steps on just my point of view on how to, especially if you're trying to build credit, and if you have credit already, just how to, build your credit up. That's on Amazon. Wayne Morris. You see both books, the Spider Up and the ebook. But like I said, I'm just right now. I'm just grinding right now. I'm just grinding. Like I said, this book. I'm trying to do the movie in the future. I'm trying to write some more novels, man. 'Cause I really enjoyed it. I never knew I would enjoy writing and stuff like that, but I enjoy it, so.
Well, maybe that could be like your next book, Conversations with Dad.
Hey. Right. That's noted.
Yeah.
Write that down, baby.
Right?
Yeah, so, it's just, I'm here, man. Like I said, but I definitely I definitely would love to go around, man. Anybody, I'm here. If anybody wants to book me, man, colleges, schools, I'm high schools, I'm willing to talk to anybody, man, if I can help. I just want to help you. That's really what it is. That's my thing, I'm here now just to really help, man. Help and help some people, because I know a lot of people right now that you never know what people going through, so
100%.
hopefully, people could check this interview out and learn some more about me, and take this and find the strength, to deal with some things they might wasn't dealing with and stuff like that, or deal with some things they need to deal with, so that's really what it is.
I predict all fantastic things coming your way.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
And I will help you any way that I can if I come across anybody, that can help or promote or anything.
Thank
like
you so
that.
much. I really appreciate you. When you called me, I was like, man, it was like right on time, man. It was like, I don't know. It was like everything I'm more like I like to, what's the word I'm looking for? I like to, predict
Network.
things. Yeah, network. And just kind of predict things before they happen. I'm just that type of guy. Like I like to, what's the word I'm looking for?
Manifest.
Yeah, manifest. Yeah, manifest. I'm a big manifestation guy, So I ain't gonna lie, my whole life been manifested, Me and my wife, I'm from Philadelphia, my wife from Brooklyn, but we've been living out in South Jersey for 4 years now. I moved from Philadelphia, and I always dreamt about and thought about living in the super suburbs, out in Jersey. I drive what I want to drive. I work for a wonderful company. I'm like I said, I'm rich, man. I tell myself every day, I love you, Wayne DeLange Morris, and Wayne DeLange Morris is healthy and wealthy. I say that every day. There's two things I tell myself every day. While I'm driving to work, when I wake up in the morning, when I'm working at work, I tell myself that at least 50 times a day. I love you, Wayne DeLange Morris. It makes me smile all the time. And Wayne DeLange Morris is healthy and wealthy.
Oh, that is fantastic.
And it makes me feel good, It keeps my energy going, man. It keeps me in the right mind frame, and I pretty much have great days every day, man. I feel like bad days is what you make it, man. Because even when you having bad days, I try to take the good out of that bad situation. So
it's all how you respond and what you put your focus on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, with that, we're going to end the interview with author Wayne Morris. I hope everyone here at the Mercer loved it. Remember, he has written Despite Of. You can get that on Amazon, and he also has the E-Credit Builder book as well.
Yes.
Book 3, hopefully coming, Conversation with Dad, and maybe then book 4, Life with Shay.
Hey.
Why not, right? World's your oyster.
And I want to put a plug in. My wife got a book coming too. I'm trying to kick in her butt. She got a book coming too, man. That's another time, another day. But she got something coming too. So look out for her.
Oh, well, then she's going to come on. I'm going to interview her if that's okay with you, Shay.
Yeah, got a book coming. No, it's something good. We talked about, man. we got a little dog at home, little Levi, man. That's our boy, man. That's our boy, you know. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, with that, we're out, Mercer Mustangs. I hope you enjoyed the interview. We're going to put a link up as soon as I figure out where to put the link. I'm hoping it's going to be on a couple different places. I will put an email out, and then you will know. So remember, it's author Wayne Morris, and he wrote Despite Of.
Thank y'all for having me. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a wonderful day. Park Ave.
Excellent. What'd you think?
Oh, that was excellent. That was excellent.
Right? Oh my gosh.
I forgot I was even being recorded. This was just sitting here just having a great conversation.